A bidet is just a drinking fountain for your thirsty, thirsty butthole.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. It's our News and News episode that won't happen next week. That's right, you heard it here. First and only time. No news next week, but we've got it this week, so let's get to it. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody.
Eric, how was your experience
Oh, shit.
at the Sphere?
If they ever show like an X-Men related thing at the Sphere, they absolutely better. Or Ty West X at the Sphere after Wizard of Oz.
I was trying to think of like, because Eric went and saw No Doubt at the Sphere. No Doubt is one of Eric's top 5 bands. And if not his top 1, I don't know. You're a ranker.
Oingo Boingo's still my favorite.
By the way, Eric, I found out that Virgos love to list and rank. So there you go. That's for you.
Yeah, I actually knew that. And we like to organize, which is funny because I have a very messy place except for like my collectibles. So that's
but you like put them in, like group them in movies or there's a method to your madness. But I just want to ask you about the Sphere experience because maybe I'll go someday. Maybe our listeners want to go someday. Maybe they already have. Maybe they watched the fucking Eagles. I don't know. But I don't think that there will ever be a band within my range of like top 5 fans that play the Sphere. So
this is the only
that
one
will get me to go to the Sphere.
This is the only one I can imagine, right? Because my other favorite bands,
you can't do Beastie Boys, you can't do Oingo
Nirvana.
Boingo. Yeah,
I guess there's a realm of possibility Danny Elfman could one day be there, but even that's maybe a stretch because it would have to really push like The Simpsons. I don't know. Like it just seems like that would be No Doubt is probably the only act that like I would want to, if someone wanted to pay for me to go see something at the Sphere, that would be different.
Sure.
Because like for instance, I'll even tell you, this is a funny thing, the Eagles are coming up at the Sphere and
they've already done this here too. They're like this is so you're gonna look at a lot of 70s acts that now appeal to older white people with money going to play the Sphere. So,
but it was funny because Trish has a story about how she kind of got not dragged, but someone paid for her to go to an Eagles concert that she was indifferent to going to. And then having that experience of like, oh, I know way more of their songs than I think I know, just because they're kind of like in the background of our head and having a really good time. But when we saw they were coming to the Sphere, I'm like, well, there's no realm I'd ever pay to see the Eagles at the Sphere. Someone would have to pay for me to be at that thing. So No Doubt is probably the one time I would go to a concert there. I say that, who the hell knows what might happen in the future. No, it was really cool though. Of course, because the curiosity about the Sphere is high. I've been in Vegas several times to see the exterior and how eye-catching it is. No pun intended, because I've seen the giant creepy eye that sometimes appears on the outside of it. And I've seen the images, of course, of various concerts and Wizard of Oz and things inside. It is very unique. It's like it's so giant as someone who's been to like the biggest IMAX screens you can be to, plus a lot of theme parks that use giant screens like Soarin' and Flight of Passage. It evokes that, but it's even bigger, this massive screen. And we kind of not lucked out, but we were very happy with our seats because we were seated in the front section, but the furthest to the left you can be as far as sections go. And it's one of those things where you can never tell looking at a map on Ticketmaster what will it really feel like. And on the map, I thought it's going to feel like the band's really far away, but it didn't. The band was actually quite close. And even though we were row 18, we were only 6 rows back from the floor. And I'm sure that's because when there's shows that aren't using a floor, that's where more rows are. And they can't have rows go right up to the screen because that would be insane. So yeah, we had a good view. We had a good view where we could see the screen well. And I think that's the thing, Matt, because like April was there and she had the floor. Now, great. She has amazing videos of like Tony. She was on Tony's side. I'm sorry, Tom's side.
I saw her Instagram. Yeah.
So they're like right in front of her, but she also barely saw the screen. Like she missed so much.
Interesting. So you could like get close to the band, but you miss out on the actual Sphere experience.
Right. And so it was really impressive because it's curated. Everything is like every song has its own visuals, and some of them are couple times are not that intense. Sometimes they're just like little, text things, and maybe sometimes they're showing live video of what's happening on stage. But often it was very specific. Like Tragic Kingdom opened, and it felt like you were on the Simpsons ride because it was like a huge animation of going through a distorted version of Disneyland.
I did see that on it before you went to the concert. I saw that
Yes.
people were posting that,
And so it's really cool. And also, it gives you a feeling of motion.
So that's what I was actually wanting to ask you
Mhm.
is if it was disorienting or if it was just a gentle motion experience or was it like dizzying,
Tragic Kingdom was one of the only times we felt that because of the what the visuals were, which was like hurling you forward like you're behind a ride. And it's like, oh, this is how Soarin' and Flight of Passage work. Now we're not in moving chairs to like, or a floating vehicle to up that. And yet you can still see how that huge a screen bringing you forward, you do feel some sensation of movement. And so that was very interesting. But yeah, it was all really cool. And I knew the set list ahead of time, and I was pretty happy with it because I knew it'd be a greatest hits, which it was. But they brought back some stuff that they hadn't done in a long time. They did a couple, not deep cuts, but they did a couple things from the early days. And also, as a big fan of this band, I was very impressed that the entire presentation, along with the exhibition you could go to at the Venetian, that's kind of like a mini No Doubt museum, is so about their history and really embraces the fact that they're a 40-year-old band, which also means they're embracing their age and like showing you things from 1986 and 1987. And it was very funny, Matt, because inevitably there'd be like young girls who are looking at the displays at the exhibition going, oh my God, 1997. Well, they haven't even reached the 87 shit.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
So
this goes
did
back.
they talk about how Gwen would love to vote for someone that would see us living in 1984?
They did not, and no.
That's my pot shot.
No,
Anyway.
and it's totally okay because I had to, that was a tricky thing is like modern Gwen and being very disappointed in modern Gwen and wondering if that would like eke into this all. I only got the ick a couple times where she talked about being blessed and said how it was a real miracle, and she kept repeating that word that we were all there that night. That's
okay languaging. That's fine.
No,
I can
it's
get away
fine.
with that. But that's also how like those are words when you're listening to a song, like a song is playing in a restaurant and you hear these words, you're like, is this Christian rock? It's sort of like, is this song actually about Jesus? Usually when they're talking, when someone's singing about a dude, and then it's like, oh, it's about Jesus.
And by the way, if people don't know what we're referring to, because I don't want to feel like I'm like knocking people's religion, it was especially the app that there was like an app that's known as like kind of a scammy religious app that she was like, doing commercials for. And there's been a lot of stuff around like, what are her current beliefs and her current political beliefs. But, and of course, you can't help but wonder, what do the rest of the band think about this? Also the fact that they can all make a fortune together. And also I will say, no doubt to their credit, and you can see it from the moment they put out the video for Don't Speak, which ended up being their biggest breakout hit because Ex-Girlfriend and Spider was before that video, which is pointedly about all the attention paid to Gwen over the rest of the band. They are very much a band that is like, hey, there are 4 of us and we're 4 equal parts, even if the media will never treat us like that. So the whole night was like the 4 of them. All the imagery is the 4 of them.
I also feel like they were, there are certain bands that we grew up with because of MTV and because of music interviews with Kurt Loder or Tabitha Soren, and they were just front and center. Like, why do I know the bassist of this band's name? You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a band I'm a fan of. Like, but I know the names of these people, and like I know every member of Green Day and every member of Offspring, and like, why do I know the band members? And that's pretty good damn marketing. What I will say is that with Young MC and Bret Michaels and like Morris Day and a few others pulling out of the Great American State Fair, the Freedom 250 celebration, that leaves only Vanilla Ice and Milli Vanilli, I believe.
No, I think Milli Vanilli. No, it's Vanilla Ice and Kid Rock. Milli Vanilli's out.
Oh, Kid Rock's in because he wasn't in originally, so they must have brought him in because everyone else canceled. I'm just saying, what if Gwen Stefani's like, I'll do it?
You know what? I think I just made up. I think you're okay
because it's weird that he's not. So anyway,
it is weird that he's not. But yeah,
he's fighting. He's actually fighting in the octagon, so it doesn't matter. This, so first of all, I know the set list because I looked it up, but like they played Hey Baby instead of Hella Good. I'm saying if you're picking a Rocksteady song, Hey Baby sucks.
They,
This is my opinion.
No, they did both. They did both.
Oh, good. Thank God.
All right, here's where Eric reveals truths about himself. Right before the show was about to begin, Eric thought, "Oh no, I'm gonna have to poop soon." And then he looked at the set list that April had sent him a couple weeks before and
Yeah,
thought,
like,
"Underneath It All" and "Hey Baby" are back to back, and I am not that into either of those songs. Perfect.
good. Yeah, like speaking of underneath it all, gotta go, gotta go have a brown time in the bathroom. Anyway,
And I made it
so
back promptly.
yeah, I'm glad that you got to experience that. And there was one other thing I was going to add, but it's not that important. So let's move on. Okay.
Except now it's going to bug me if whether or not Milli Vanilli has dropped out of this thing. They have. And so last I saw, it was Vanilla Ice and Flow Rida were the last two. So we'll see what happens.
Come on. I just want them both. It's like I know they're not being killed, but like I want those X's over their faces on the graphic of the shitty fucking flyer thing that went out online. And everyone's just like marking them out as if they're like targets that have been eliminated. I want no one at this thing. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who would ever get me in there. I mean, I know bands obviously that I love.
No. I mean, obviously,
great, but they're not
Matt,
big enough.
If Faith No More were there, we would be there. But
Yeah,
Faith
they're
No More's
just
not
never
going to
be
be
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. No Doubt is the only one, and of course, look, No Doubt has not been an active band in over a decade.
Man.
And then they did Coachella, and they did the Fire Benefits.
I gotta tell you, Morrissey. Here's the thing.
Oh, that would be possible,
listen.
for the irony. Yes.
I'll tell you this, everybody. And I'm sorry that we're not talking about fucking. I don't know why Eric wants to talk about Mobland so much. I mean, there's other news stories too, but Mobland, Eric, Mobland is not a real show. We don't need to talk about this. A, he's done residencies in Vegas before. B, he's ramped up after a very shaky January and February, for which I was lucky to see him after he promptly canceled the 4 shows after mine in a row, 3 or 4, and got really bad headlines in January. Like all the music industry like sites were like hyper focusing on Morrissey's cancellations, which he does all the time. But now he's like headlining a festival I'm going to in November. He's part of the Riot Fest. He's part of he's really ramped up his touring this year. And so I could see because of his proximity to Southern California, like with Vegas, that he could do a stint at the Sphere and I would go. So there you go. That's who I would see.
That is possible. And it is. Here's
what also problematic. Eric and I will only see problematics.
Because I want to talk about acting's Morrissey, Tom Hardy.
But I'm saying you and I will only go see people who have become super problematic in their elder age singers at the Sphere.
Yeah.
And we will have to compartmentalize like crazy. Okay. Yes, Mobland is not a real show. Mobland's not a real show. It's on a streaming service that does exist, but whether or not I don't watch it, you don't watch it. No one who listens to us watches it. Eric, Tom Hardy's out because he's Michael Pitting himself basically off his own show.
Well, I mean, look, Michael Pitt was never Tom Hardy. So, Tom Hardy can still get work, even though Tom Hardy is notoriously Tom Hardy, the notorious Tom Hardy, notoriously difficult. And there's a little bit of a funny dueling trades with this because Puck reported he'd been fired. I think it was Puck who first reported. And then THR did a big, here's what happened behind the scenes. And then Variety said he's actually not fired. But if you read the article, it sounds they're waiting to see if he'll be in season 3 or not. And it sounds like he's probably mostly fired or just having this huge...
Wait, there have been 2 seasons of this show?
They filmed season 2. They have not aired season 2.
Got it.
All this happened because I guess he got worse on season 2. Some say maybe fueled by the fact that Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan, his very notable co-stars, were getting equal screen time. But I don't know if that's true or not. That he felt it should be the Tom Hardy show.
Right. But here's the thing. And I'm going through this right now because I'm watching Spider Noir, which I enjoy and you recommended. But streaming shows, man. We just talked about it with Daredevil Born Again. They need to be half the length they could be. Sometimes they should be, but they easily could be half the length they are.
Well, it's a tricky thing. The story they choose to tell could be half the length they are because they refuse to do standalone adventure of the week episodes that would make it worthwhile to do a longer season.
But
you know?
also, but in order to make these 8-hour, 10-hour, 13-hour movies, remember when that was touted as a good thing? I don't know why it was, especially when the Marvel and Star Wars shows showed up on TV. They're like, it's like an 8-hour movie, like as if that's a selling point. Eric, would you go see an 8-hour movie? My point is that when you learn a movie's 3 hours, everyone goes, ugh. You know what I mean? When will I shit? When will I pee? Well, obviously it's during Hey Baby. But my point is that everyone already complains when a movie's over 90 minutes these days anyway, that the fact that the streaming landscape once said, but what if a movie was 8 hours? And we were like, yay. Everyone's like, that sounds amazing. It sounds terrible. But in order to do that, you have to have other people other than the main one or two protagonists on the show having conversations about fucking nothing. And I hate using the word filler, but efficiency itself is not a virtue, but there is an argument to be made in the efficiency of storytelling as far as it being more effective. I mean, look at the Arrested Development Netflix seasons with the time restraints and the character restraints, being able to effectively tell a story in a better, more effective way with less time and less characters, fewer characters. So I'm just saying that I understand why they have equal screen time. They got to fill out however many episodes they have on this show that doesn't exist.
Also, they're Pierce Brosnan.
They need to have other people talking all the time.
They're also Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren, so they have got that going for them.
I know, but who else is on the show? Like,
Patty
Jones and
Patty Considine, who we just talked about from the Bourne Ultimatum.
I know, but so they're gonna have him have a scene with Helen Mirren. They're gonna have him have a scene with Toby Jones.
Also, though, look, we might fucking love Moblin. We haven't seen Moblin. The main thing here is
I hate Moblin,
which does 10-episode seasons, by the way.
Oh my god! So that's why they have a huge ensemble cast
of very acclaimed people. It's a really good cast.
I'm sure. I'm looking at Janet McTeer. Yeah, everybody. The maid from Downton Abbey.
Laura Pulver.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there was this huge blow, and it's look with Tom Hardy. It's like, guess what? Wasn't coming to set, showed up hours late, was rewriting his own material, just like classic Hardy, just classic Hardy. And so then it's turned into this a little bit of like back and forth about, has he technically been fired? Has he technically walked? Or are they still trying to figure it out? And maybe they'll work it out for season 3. But Hardy's gonna Hardy. And it is funny because what ends up happening is then, Page 6 and these tabloids will jump on something like this and they will bring up times people have had issues with Tom Hardy, his co-stars, but there is a lot. And so, of course, the Mad Max stuff is the big one. But then I didn't know that Patrick Stewart wrote a autobiography a couple years ago in which he talked about how Tom Hardy was super unfriendly on Star Trek Nemesis. And he was very bitchy.
He was playing his nemesis.
He was, but he's very bitchy about it because he just says
Patrick Stewart's like, my op. Yeah.
If the quotes are correct and there's nothing more, as in like they didn't leave anything out, it is funny because he was like, our new co-star, very unfriendly, kept himself a young man named Tom Hardy, which is to say he doesn't act like Tom Hardy became a movie star. Like he's just like this little punk.
He's just always been like this and consistently getting work somehow. But yeah.
I mean, look, he's a good actor, but it is funny that it's like,
I think he can be a good actor. I don't think he always is.
He's not always, but he can be a very interesting actor. And unlike Michael Pitt, he has had hit movies. The Venom movies were hits just with him, so he'll still get cast, because it's not like he, has never actually led a hit thing. But we'll see. We'll see if Matt's favorite show, Mobland, can survive.
We have spent way too long talking about this imaginary series,
which Guy Ritchie directs episodes of.
Bullshit.
I'm telling you.
Bullshit. By the way, I love Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes movies. I've probably said that before.
They're very good.
They're amazing, and it's probably my favorite Hans Zimmer score. So anyway.
But God, his new movie. What the fuck? I just reviewed
In the Gray.
Yeah, it is not good. Yeah, it is not. Not good.
Eric, I saw Operation Fortune _Rue de Guerre.
The thing about my mini rant about In the Gray. In the Gray says, hey, you know how it's fun in a heist movie when they tell you this is how it's going to work, our plan. And they're like, then we'll do this and you're going to go here. And sometimes it's voiceover as we're seeing those places. This movie is like 90% that. It's like, he's like, well, if you like that, then you'll like the whole movie being Isaac Gonzalez or Jake Gyllenhaal doing this voice VO. And guess what? I didn't like when they kept doing that, and it felt like almost no one has on-screen dialogue, and they haven't. And it was all figured out in post. Anyway,
Ocean's 11 needs to be studied. It's such
so
a masterful
perfect.
movie because of the way that they breadcrumb you, which is like no one ever tells you how they're going to do this. There's a part where he explains what they have to do and how impossible it is, but never are we let in on how it's actually all going to turn out and what the big twists are, right? But we're given a few things here and there to like lead us along. Oh, they need to do this. Well, they got to steal this ID. They got to plant this thing, but these are just components of the larger thing. It's amazing. Anyway, let's talk about X-Men. And X-Men 97's season 2 trailer dropped, and there is now confirmation for a 4th season. There was already a 3rd season on the way.
There's a funny confirmation because Larry Houston, one of the creators of the original X-Men animated series, and they're like consulting producers on the new show. He was interviewed by EW, and it's kind of one of those things where, because he's not one of the main guys, I think he just kind of flippantly said, "Oh, yeah, we're talking, we're already working on season 4," and he probably wasn't supposed to say that, but it's okay.
But with animation, you got to do that because you need a long lead time and production time. I didn't watch the 1st season, so
I'm shit. Okay, I don't want to.
Well, I mean, you knew that.
I know. I forgot you never had. Oh, it's so good.
It's fine, but like I watched this season 2 trailer, and everyone's talking about the Deadpool of it all because he briefly pops up.
We are. I thought we're just like, hey, it's cool that Morph's going to turn into Deadpool for a second.
Yeah, everyone's like Deadpool confirmed for. I'm like, was it? It was just like a thing. Anyway, but it's a big timey-wimey jump around. Apocalypse is trying to wipe out the X-Men in their most this is a very funny part where it's like, I must strike when they are at their most vulnerable, the 1990s. And then
no, I thought he goes, we got to get the X-Men back to the 90s. Bishop and Forge say that. That's what they say.
But it's funny. There was no needle drop, which is a shame because Two Princes is right there.
No, but they play a cool orchestral version of the theme.
No, I don't want that. I want Spin Doctors, Two Princes, and Apocalypse is like, everyone's doing the Bartman. That's what we
which is synergy because Disney owns it all now.
There are so many oversized flannels and tracksuits and chunky sneakers. Yeah.
Once you finish Spider Noir, watch X-Men 97.
I don't have time. Eric, I haven't watched Man on the Inside season 2, Diplomat season 3. I haven't watched.
Okay.
There's too much, Eric.
X-Men 97. Watch X-Men 97.
I can't. Well, I will watch X-Men 97 season 1 if they show it in the Sphere.
Just watch it. It's so good. It's so good. It so embraces the soap opera aspect, which is so key. And I've seen Jake Shear talk about for the movie, the X-Men MCU movie. It's like, which is great. It is really, really well done. Anyway, so I'm excited for more X-Men. Matt could give a shit. X-Men hater #1 over here.
Look, I'm cranky today. I dropped my PS5 controller. It doesn't work now, so I had to order a new one because everyone's like, just open it up and fix the wires. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And I need to play Rivals. Cyclops is not there yet, but he will be. Okay. Karen Gillan is joining season 4 of Shrinking, which I don't know that I was fully conscious of there being a season 4. I know I'm not surprised that there's a season 4. Season 3 did close down the show in a certain way, which is like, and it did close down the storyline it had been telling. I mean, Bill Lawrence has said that it's the end of this sort of cycle of grief storyline that they were doing, but it also does act like a close for the show. So
it does.
If it didn't come back, it would have been fine because it was a great ending. It is now coming back with Karen Gillan in a recurring role. We don't know who that is, but with a time jump and a new arc. And it was worded in a way that fans got a little confused because he said the cast was returning for a whole new story. And everyone was wondering if it was like,
no,
not the same characters.
No, yeah, it is the same.
He had to go in and clarify that everyone's coming back to the same characters, but time jump and new story.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where
I would assume, but yeah.
Yeah, he's explained it, but not enough that people would all know it, understandably, which is that basically he treated the first 3 seasons as their own, like, mega arc, and that this would now begin the next stage of it. Now, see, I was hyper aware of season 4 because, Matt, I reviewed this season 3 for IGN, and watching the screeners, I go, oh, have they not announced it's the final season? But it is, because the whole season so felt like it was aiming towards an ending, and then it ended in a way that felt like
Are they like the show doesn't end until Harrison Ford dies? Like,
right. So when I wrote my review, I wrote, well, they haven't said if this is coming back or not, but this sure feels like the ending. And then the day before the embargo lifted on the review, which was premiere week, they announced season 4. So then I asked Kalora, hey, can I add this little thing at the beginning just to say, well, it is coming back. But it sure still feels like an ending. And so it is interesting because to have the first 3 seasons, it reminds me of The 100, which, and this was different because The 100, they absolutely thought they might be canceled. They weren't sure. So season 5 had an ending that really could be the end of the show. And then they got renewed. So then they added like a end of chapter 1 card at the end because they did a big time jump, like complete paradigm shift for season 6. But it is funny to have Shrinking, which is obviously not a future apocalypse sci-fi show, also have like such specific
he said there's going to be a time jump. So also, do you think it'll be called Growing now? There's your new story. He becomes a giant. This is when they finally use the matter ray. Hey,
you just reminded me, by the way, that when a show that we'd never watched, but when Travis Fickett and I were working at IGN together, and One Tree Hill got renewed, and I know any show set in high school, it's really tricky to do. What do we do when they graduate? How do we keep the characters together? What's the next step? And so One Tree Hill, even though I don't watch the show, I did think it was interesting when they announced we're going to pick up after college. Like so we don't have to deal with do they all go to college together, all that stuff. And we kept joking that what if they picked up and it was like the robot apocalypse? Like what if they were like now freedom fighters?
Real talk for Shrinking. And for and spoiler warning for those who haven't watched Shrinking. And I already kind of gave a general spoiler already. But Eric, how much of a time jump can we even have here? I mean, if we have a character like Paul, who is sort of entering the end game times of his Parkinson's and literally closes down, he retires from his practice, moves to a different state, right? Do we do a time jump and he's just worse? Or do we do a time jump and he has passed and he is now a ghost for Jimmy? You know what I mean? Like,
or do we do
over that, right?
Or do we do the whole gang goes on a European vacation together?
or are they all recruited to find the Queen's jewel?
With Mobland crossover.
Mr. Nobody recruits them to save the world from the fucking Cypher virus or something.
The reason we need Tom Hardy to still be part of the crossover with Shrinking.
Karen Gillan is the sort of Nick Fury like recruiter of this, who gets them together.
Well, look, my main thing is here, I love Karen Gillan and I love Shrinking, and I hope she uses her Scottish accent.
Please.
The people demand it.
There are roles where people can actually use their accent and it still works. Like they don't have to be American. Okay.
What was it?
We just talked about it with the with Born Legacy with Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Which is like she could have just used her English accent. Okay. So for those who haven't been following along, we have our final Bourne movie coming up, Jason Bourne, and then just say it here, but we'll say it on the Jason Bourne podcast too. After that, we're doing Insidious, of which I have seen none. So there you go. I will have seen none of the 5 so far, I believe, Insidious movies.
Number 6 is on the way.
The Insidious, and the 6th one's coming in August. So, all right. Eric, talk about box office stuff.
It's really interesting time at the box office because things are looking good. Unless you're Star Wars, I suppose. And because there's been a lot of reports about how Gen Z is actually turning into a movie-going generation in a way that studios absolutely need, and that they are starting to really embrace going to the movies as a thing they want to do.
But also they don't give a shit about the legacy stuff we care about, which would be Star Wars or Spielberg or things like that.
But what they do care about is creepypastas and YouTubers and things that
Hmm.
they are like hyper engaged with. And so a couple things that happened this past weekend were Mandalorian and Grogu opened in a way that didn't prove anything. It was not a complete disaster. It was not a breakout. Oh my God, this is actually a huge deal. It made just about what Solo made, which was kind of the weird barometer, even though Solo was seen as disappointment because Solo was the low bar and it also cost twice as much. And so the fact that it basically opened the same was like, okay. And this probably will squeak out a little money, especially with merchandising, because Grogu is such a merchandiser mover. However, it does look like it's going to drop bigger second weekend than Solo.
I
So,
imagine it's going to drop massively. Yeah.
and that feeds into the other two movies here, which if we talked last week about Obsession being like not just a hit, like another horror hit, low budget, made money, but like a really notable hit in its first week, and how especially the weekdays were like, oh shit, what's happening here? Because it became
Well, and
number.
I regaled you with my tale of trying to get a 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
showing at a Cinemark, and it was cheap ticket day, and every good seat was sold. So,
Yep, yep. And then weekend two, this fucking movie went up 39% from its opening weekend, which is almost just, it doesn't happen except at the holidays because
yeah.
that's, when people are like everyone is out of work and out of school, we'll have crazy boosts like that.
And it doesn't happen also unless people are being word of mouth told to go see it and
Mm-hmm.
are. And I've just, man, this everyone's talking about this. It's all over fucking Instagram and the internet and everything. And also people are seeing it again.
Yep, both things are
So people are
happening.
people are seeing it again. It's also a sign, and because this feeds into something else you wrote here, which is that Backrooms is tracking to open
Oh,
massively,
and we can say that as
and
we're
that's the
recording.
creepy pasta YouTube stuff, and
Yes, and we're recording this Friday morning. Backrooms made 10 million on Thursday, so huge. Like that is for it's the biggest
and
A24
nobody
opening
knows what the
ever.
movie's fucking about. I mean, like people who have been following this young director and so on, and his films over the internet for the past many years will know what the thing is, but most people are going to be like, this just looks upsetting and I want to see it. And I think we're just in a time, and I think it speaks to the anxiousness of the world that we live in right now, and all the fucking shitstorm our country's going through, is that people just want to feel nervous and miserable at the movies, and nobody wants to go see like a disclosure day. Look, there's a part of me, and this is tied to it. There's a part of me that hopes Disclosure Day is fucking twisted and dark as hell. I don't think it will be, but
Mhm.
I want that. I want that from Spielberg, and I want that just in general at the movies these days. So I think we're all just craving sort of like heinousness at the cinema, just like uh
Gen Z is locked in, and what they want is misery because that's what they're feeling.
no, but no, that's what they know, and so that's what
Right,
their brain
right.
what their brain sort of craves. Yeah.
But yeah, to just finish the thought, and then Obsession is insane because its second week on Tuesday and Wednesday, which are the discount days, it was doing better than its opening weekend Saturday. It kept improving week to week, and in a already in wide release. And then on Wednesday, it beat Mandalorian and Grogu, and it was the number one movie again. And so which was both amazing for Obsession and not good for Mandalorian and Grogu. Now you have Backrooms, which is going to have an insanely huge opening, clearly. And Obsession's not. A few weeks ago, I think everyone thought, well, Obsession's going to open well because it's people seem to be into it, but then it'll be killed by Backrooms. That's not going to happen. It looks like Backrooms will be number one
They're
easily.
both just gonna take a shit on Mandalorian.
Yep,
Like,
and
yeah.
Obsession will be number two and have another great hold. Maybe not go up only because Backrooms is coming out, but maybe we don't know. And the
But
Mandalorian
does
Grogu is going to fall to
okay,
number three.
also, doesn't Obsession come out on digital in a week?
Okay, so that's keeps being said without being
Or are they gonna
confirmed.
push it?
I we're saying that again on Monday, the press release might come out saying tomorrow on digital, and I'll both be proven wrong with what I'm about to say, and I'll also be like, God damn it, which is I think they're gonna push it because yes, Universal slash Focus had been doing these like 17-day or whatever it was digital drops. Which next year they're going to move to 45 days for Universal movies. That doesn't count for Focus. And this is a Focus movie. I think they're going to hold it because this is an absolutely insane performance. If they don't hold it, I do need people to understand because they really don't. They're not removing it from theaters. It will still be. A lot of people seem to think that means it will be taken from theaters. It does not mean that, but I still think it would be a bad idea. And I think they're going to hold it, but we'll find out. They have not put out a press
They
release.
should hold this movie. I mean, like through 4th of July.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like
this is
the
a
summer.
sensation.
Kids are
Yeah.
out of school right now, right?
This is this is the breakout movie of the summer because, by the way, nothing against Backrooms. In fact, I'm about to recommend it. But Backrooms is probably going to perform more traditionally, which is it's going to have an amazing opening, insanely huge, way bigger opening.
It costs 10 million. It might make 60. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think it's gonna open to 60 to 80, but it's gonna. I mean, it's tracking insane.
Well, then it's gonna make over 100. So yeah, like,
but we should say Obsession just hit 100 million worldwide. No one expected that. It's gonna hit 100 million domestic by the end of the weekend, probably. This is all insane for a movie that costs under $1 million. Backrooms is gonna open massive. I think it'll probably fall more traditionally for a horror movie. But yeah, these are both really kind of just cool and exciting to see because, you know, as much as I'm like, hey, I want them to sort of fix the problems with Star Wars, and I'd love if Star Wars were seen as an important movie franchise again. We can't just, you know, we talk about this a lot. You cannot only rely on the past. You have to build new things. You have to have new filmmakers and things that, you know, young people have to have their own discoveries. It's absolutely vital.
By the way, the way Hollywood works now, Curry Barker is just going to direct a Star Wars next. So.
We'll see. Well, the funniest article about Curry Barker this week was that one studio, so desperate to like get him, just offered him $10 million as his fee for whatever his next idea was. It was just like, here's 10. There was nothing. But then they actually had to say, wait, you can't do that because he has a first look deal with Focus now, and it's like a whole thing.
He's like, oh, that's great because my next movie is an all full frontal naked Smurfs movie.
And by the way, it's actually a very good position for him because he already has made his next movie, the one with Aaron Paul, Mary Elizabeth Winstead in that. Might be thinking of someone else. Anyway, he's already filmed this next movie, and then A24 very wisely signed him to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre before this movie opened. So even though I'm sure he got a huge boost of money, it wasn't like he'd have to be paid now. And then whatever he's going to get next. But now let's talk also, Backrooms, about how Kane Parsons, the 20-year-old who directed this movie, that this is also...
Why is there rumors about ghost directing? Is it just randomly maliciously started online because he's so young?
Yeah, because...
you know what I mean? Like, is it just like out of nowhere, or is there like fuel to this? Because fucking what's his name had to go online and come to his defense and stuff like that. Mark Duplass. So
yeah, I think it's just it's a weird mixture of jealousy, and this can't be true because there was a really stupid one that came out in the aftermath of this saying, I heard, you know, someone's tweet went viral saying, yeah, I heard Blumhouse had a similar situation, though they didn't even have a name for who it might be, with Obsession, and then a bunch of people had to say Blumhouse wasn't involved in Obsession when it was made. Blumhouse and Focus came on board afterwards, so there was no one was holding anyone's hand making Obsession. No, I think it's just he's so young. There are things that stand out to me about Backrooms because he's insanely young, and the fact that he has these amazingly acclaimed, like Oscar-nominated actors is pretty insane. But there are a lot of big name producers on this movie. And when I say big name, I mean James Wan, Sean Levy, and Osgood Perkins. So people who are like filmmakers, and Osgood has been specifically mentioned by Kane Parsons as someone who was like definitely in a mentor role on this movie.
This also feels like an Osgood Perkins movie. So
that he was definitely in a mentor role. He helped him, he was there for advice. He was there, in the room, in the back rooms with him while he was honing the script. And I think that then led to he must have actually directed the movie, or look at all these, or James Wan might have stepped in, but I don't think any of it has any basis in anyone.
The other aspect of this is that he didn't make this for $1 million or $2 million. He was 10. And at that point, when you've got a 20-year-old first-time director with a $10 million budget, which is usually not what they're dealing with, you want more eyes on the project. And that's just sort of how. You think like producers weren't we just talked about what a shit show Doug Liman made of The Bourne Identity, that all the producers had to wrangle him. Was it ghost directed? You know what I mean? Like, it was just, he was a crazy, and he's somebody that there was no accusations of like ghost directing. Many of the times the editor is what saves the movie, so.
Well, I think it's similar to what happens in TV a lot, which is if a TV show has a young creator who's never show run,
They'll
often
have
on the
like a
first.
veteran EP. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it's still the creator who's shaping the show and being like, this is what I want the story arc to be, and here's what. But the veteran EP can be like, oh, well, actually, blah blah blah, or that would be too much for the budget, so we should, pull back on this, and to kind of step in because he's got that experience. And so I have a feeling on this movie where, yeah, A24 is spending $10 million, but they have all these veteran directors and producer roles. It was probably that sort of thing to be like, we need you to have we want you to have as much support as possible here. So these guys are all here to get advice from, to listen to, probably to chime in when they feel it's the best time to chime in. So,
All right. Well, why don't you recommend Backrooms?
I'm going to recommend Backrooms.
Lead
That's my
into
recommendation
Backrooms.
this week. I really liked it. It is funny to drop into a world that I didn't even understand the scope of it, Matt. All I knew going in was 20-year-old director, YouTube channel, and then I was like, oh, this is based on a short he did. I didn't realize it was based on a series of shorts he did, that he did a bunch of them. But I also didn't know it was based on this whole back thing with the creepy pasta and the viral photo and a whole online community that's obsessed with this concept that is not something he originated, nor does he take credit for originating, but he did kind of have the most popular version of it. And yeah, that it's this whole other thing. And I did watch a Q&A with him when I saw my screening. Sam Esmail moderated a Q&A with him, and he talked about a sort of Backrooms universe and the idea that there could be more stories. And if you watch the movie, there's like Mark Duplass's character is connected to more lore, and there's like stuff going on around it. And that made sense to me after, but I will say, to the movie's credit, I didn't feel like, I don't know, I'm catching, is this episode 20? Like, I feel like the way the movie presents with the main characters don't know shit. And so they take you into the story. That all works really well. As I mentioned, two brilliant actors who are hard for Americans to pronounce their name. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Rensve. But
Did you have as much trouble saying her name when you recommended her movie a couple years ago?
I'm sure I did. Yeah. I saw someone someone posted a cute clip of themselves interviewing her and her saying to the interviewer, "You're the first person to say my name right today," like in a junket situation. So,
And he was like, "Rrr, rrr, 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 rrr."
but anyway, they are both great, and it's set in 1990, which really I think
Want you, Princess kneel before you. That's what I said now.
Long 15 years before this director was born. But yeah, it works really well, and there are a couple sequences that it kind of become found footage, which is to say main characters pick up a camera and then we get a sequence from their point of view. And it works really well because the whole movie is not a found footage movie, but then there's this, kind of key sequence that is, and it's also 1990, so they can make it really like lo-fi, the quality can be much lower, and it works really, it's very effective. And the visual, I mean, again, if you don't know anything about this movie, Chiwetel Ejiofor owns a furniture store, and in his basement, he finds a weird thing where he can walk through the wall, and there is just this never-ending series of rooms that look like an empty department store, just kind of going on forever, but then there's other stuff. And the core key visual, which I guess is this thing that's been very popularized online, I found out that the source was a empty Hobby Lobby under renovation but that it is a core visual that is very evocative. The movie gets a lot of mileage out of how creepy it is. It's a very atmospheric movie. It's a very evocative movie, and I think that this 20-year-old kid does a very good job of kind of pulling you through into this whole thing. It's a slow burn, but it's not slow paced, and I really appreciated it. I didn't think it quite stuck the landing. It's got a lot of ambiguity about the ending, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm not like, no ambiguity. I would have liked a little bit more from what the ending gives me, but I still thought by and large it was very effective, and I thought, I was into it.
I guess I will just take this opportunity to recommend the book House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski from 2000, because having not known anything about the Backrooms past online or creepypasta or any of the videos, when I saw this trailer, I was like, oh my God, this is a House of Leaves. I mean, it's not exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the closest we'll ever get to having something like liminal space horror of House of Leaves on the big screen. And so I always wonder how influenced the creator of Backrooms was maybe by House of Leaves. So I'll recommend House of Leaves, which is, man, it's like meta metafiction mixed with thriller, psychological thriller mixed with liminal space horror. It's like Blair Witch on PCP in a sort of way, which is like you are following somebody who is reading the manuscript of somebody who is reviewing and analyzing found footage. So it's like 3 layers Nolan deep of like separated stories. And the book itself also breaks because you'll turn the page and things are written sideways, or maybe there's one word on a page, or anyway, the book itself is itself part of the art of the story in the same. So it's very Blair Witch in that way, which is to say the found footage that is being analyzed by the recluse that is being read by Johnny Truant is about a couple who discovers within their home extra space and like goes exploring to map it, and like and people disappearing, and so it's not like the story, it's like one of the components of the story, but it's a huge part. And it's the one that sort of is the one that fills you with the most dread. And Mark Z. Danielewski has a sister who goes by the name of Poe, who is a singer who had a brief couple hits in the late 90s. And she has a companion album sort of to this called Haunted, and where a few of the songs are about elements of House of Leaves, like Hey Johnny and a few others. Her song Haunted plays at the end credits, I believe, of Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows.
I mean, I love that. So I love that song, and I used to put that song on mixed CDs. Yeah, it's like it's like a real favorite song of mine.
I'd have to revisit that song to see if that was one of the ones that was tied to. I mean, the whole album is sort of a counterpart to House of Leaves, anyway. So I'm sure that Haunted lyrically has something to do with the story as well. But anyway, that's a component. And there's also the Whalestow Letters, which is like a follow-up that Danielewski did about a correspondence of letters between Johnny Truant and his incarcerated insane asylum mother. Okay, that's all I'll say. But I recommend the book, especially if you wind up seeing and digging Backrooms.
I have to go in a minute, but I want to ask you, Matt, before we go. I forgot my thought. No, how much did you know? I know you haven't seen Backrooms yet, the movie, but how much did you know about anything about the history of Backrooms besides?
Oh, I just said I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Missed you saying that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. And actually, my friend Kristen here was the one who brought up Backrooms, and we were like, it's not a movie that we thought that she'd be talking about. And she's like, oh yeah, I used to watch all the stuff. And I'm like, what stuff? So through that. Yeah.
It's funny because then there's all these conversations online because again, and I didn't know who Kane Parsons or Curry Barker were a few months ago. And so it's funny because
these are full on NXT names, by the way. I just need to get that out there.
Kane Parsons versus Curry Barker. But it's funny because I have seen people say, hey, look, Curry Barker has 1 million followers on YouTube doing goofy comedy videos, which I've watched a few of now, and they are funny. But people are like, Obsession is not a breakout because of Curry Barker making goofy comedy videos. It's got a life of its own, versus Backrooms does have a community behind the concept that is going to fuel the opening of this movie right from the start, because there are people who are like, hey, they made a Backrooms movie in a way that old Matt and I were not prepared for, but I embrace.
There you go. All right. I do have a few write-ins that I'll get to really
Let's
quickly.
Let's do a couple.
Which is Kermit writes in once again about Ready Player One. Just maybe closing the loop on this. So it doesn't become a recurring bit, but who knows? Kermit writes, LOL, if we mention this one more time about my love for Ready Player One and their dislike for it, it will become a recurring bit. Thanks for everyone's concern. It's been a hard few weeks to get through life. I stare out the window on a rainy day and sit idly on swings, but I'm making it through. Thoughts and prayers are welcome, is what Kermit writes. Jeffrey writes, thanks for replying to my Mortal Kombat 2 question. I've been a big fan since the wrap-up. I guess he's talking about the wrestling wrap-up. I usually just quiet. Would love to see you guys do a rundown on Mortal Kombat someday. Maybe even briefly cover the Conquest show that existed. Thanks for everything.
Well, what about? I'm sorry. You say who his ending.
Thanks for everything, knee lift is what he writes.
That is very much.
That is a wrap up.
What if you said I still don't know if he read the wrap up?
I don't know if it's wrap up or not.
It's funny because I've not seen Mortal Kombat Conquest, but I have seen Mortal Kombat Legacy, the web series from a few years ago, where I moderated a Comic-Con panel for that had Casper Van Dien has Johnny Cage.
Oh
Yeah. There's so much more. There's a lot of Mortal Kombat out there.
Brian writes in, and this is because you think you wrote something about the new Olivia Rodrigo video. Did the music video for Olivia Rodrigo's The Cure evoke Nightmare on Elm Street 3? It's the first thing I thought of, but I will only run with it if Bonafide Freddy Kid trademark symbol. Eric says he thought that too, and I believe you already posted about that.
100%. It's a very obvious visual pull, which is she's being puppeted. Now they don't make it look horrific. They make it look like strings, but they're red. They're obviously supposed to be like her veins, and they're puppeting her through a hospital. And I was like, oh, that's a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 reference. And she's had a lot of references in her videos. There's Jennifer's body is all over one of her videos. So yes, I do think that is a very conscious, especially the fact that it's happening in a hospital. I don't think that was a coincidental, like, we happen to do this. I think that was a very notable Nightmare on Elm Street 3 poll, which I was very happy to see.
Yeah, Olivia Rodrigo is one of those. I don't know anything about the pop ingenues. I know their names. I couldn't really pick out a song except maybe Pink Pony Club because it's just so omnipresent. But yeah, I don't know what Sabrina Carpenter sings, much less Charlie XCX or I don't know it.
I'm an Olivia stan. She's my favorite.
Okay, well, like she's playing here or somewhere, but anyway, Die Spitz is one of the openers, and they are hardcore punk rock like metal band that I really like. And I'm like, man, that seems like a musical whiplash.
Well, I will say again here.
And then everyone tries to tell me Olivia Rodrigo is more rock than the others, and I listen to like the first 3 songs of hers on Spotify, and that is not rock.
The thing is, she music. She has some legitimate rock songs. I wish they were all because those are the ones that I respond to the most. But I will also say her, if I may, fanboy for a second about her. Her taste in music and pop culture is very surprising, and she also had the Breeders open for her a couple years ago. And obviously, none of her core audience will know who the fuck the Breeders are, but she had them do it because she loves them.
I get it, and that's fun, and I would like to think that that's why Die Spitz is there, is because she loves them. Mm-hmm. But I will also say that the difference between the Breeders and Die Spitz music.
Oh, sure. Yes, it is. But I didn't know that's very funny. But that it does track, even though this is an even bigger, like, here you go, kiddos, like opening act. But I appreciate that.
Well, that's all we got for you this week. Mm-hmm. I hope you enjoyed our extensive talk about a show that doesn't exist called Moblands, and I'm
singular Mobland.
Whatever. I'm using air quotes for all of it, so nobody can see that. It's a show on a streaming service called Moblands.
This is Paramount Plus. Look, it's Paramount Plus, which has to fill. It can't all be Tyler Sheridan. So here's your bonus non-Tyler Sheridan content.
All right. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!